Alright guys, let's get this thing started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to delete all this piping. So we'll select it and we'll hit delete. Now I have all the fixtures loaded into my project already, so you would want to load each of these types of fixtures into your project, and I'm sure you've seen me do that very many times. So I'm going to start with a plumbing fixture, and let's go ahead and start with our water closet, and let's place that. Now let's zoom into here and let's just place it right there, hit escape, and then we'll use the AL for align to align these two together. Now we'll select this water closet and we'll just use CC for copy, and we'll just copy this point to the back of this fixture right here, and we'll do that again right here. And you're going to want to make sure multiple is selected so you can do this multiple times. We'll hit escape. Now we'll just add our urinals right here, so I'm just going to go to System, Plumbing Fixture, and you can also use the keyboard shortcut PX. So we'll use type in urinal right here so we can quickly find it, and let's just click a point right there on the wall. Use AL for align, and we'll align these two together right here. Now we'll use CC for copy again, and we'll align to the back of that, and we'll copy it right there. Hit escape. Now that we have those in, we're going to go ahead and create a little system. So I'm just going to select my water closets, and we're just going to create a piping system out of that. And we're going to select our domestic cold water, and you can see it's a system because it has that little dash box around it. So let's go ahead and generate a layout. And right now it already is automatically doing it, but we would have to go to settings, and I already did this in my video. We're going to have to use the same elevation so this works. So we're going to have to put the offset, and we're going to have to copy that value in, and we're also have to copy in the value for the branch piping as well. So we're going to hit OK, and I'm just going to finish this layout out. Now you can also make sure that the piping is 2 inches, but we don't have to do that right now. So we have those pieces, so we can just select these right here, and we're just going to move those into the wall just like that. Now I'm going to continue drawing pipes, so I'm going to delete that piece right there. Let's turn off our thin lines, and let's just go ahead and move this piece over to here, right there, hit escape, and zoom out so we can see our pieces of pipe. Now we'll click on this guy right here, and we'll click into our 3D view. We'll start drawing our cold water, and we're going to have to bring it up a little bit first. So let's bring it up to maybe 4 feet, and then we'll hold shift so we can draw that piece just like that. Looks good. Now let's just bring this pipe back to line up with this one, and we can trim these guys together. So that looks great. And let's just use, let's go ahead and connect this guy into that one. So we'll click this button, we'll bring this up to 4 feet again, and since I entered it in, it should be on the list here. And then we'll go ahead and use our shift button, and we'll just bring it to a point right here, hit escape, and this time we'll just click this piece, and we'll go right into this one right here, hit escape. So now we have that system. Now we'll just click this little elbow fitting, and we'll make sure we hit the plus right there. Click on the fitting, right click, and we'll draw some pipe. And I'm just going to draw it to about this position right here. And now we'll bring it up to about 9 feet. And we'll go from this point right here, and this is where our main piping is going to be originating from over here. So let's go ahead and size this system real quick. So I'm going to click on, actually I'm going to click on my piece of pipe, and I have to make sure that my piping system is using the correct sizing techniques. So if I go to edit type, I need to make sure this is flush valve. So it is flush valve, so that's looking like it's going to work. And so what we can do is we can also verify the flow rate. And so it's going to use the fixture values to size this piping. So you can see it's 42 GPM, so that looks about right. So let's just tab into all these pieces right here, and we'll just click that button, and then we'll go ahead and use our duct pipe sizing, and we'll make the max velocity as 8 feet per second, hit OK. And now Revit has sized this system for us. So let's make sure that this piece is looking correct. So it's 3/4 inch. So that looks good, and then these should be 1 inch. So let's just verify that real quick. Okay, it is. So at this piece, we should be about 2 inches. Oh, so it's using 1.5 inches. So I can go ahead and just, make this a 2-inch piece right here, and that way I know that the piping is correct. So we'll make that 2 inches. Now let's verify our flow rate real quick. And so you can see the velocity is 4.4. So we could have made that 1.5 inches, but My standard is to use 2 inches for these guys right here. So let's go ahead and update that on this plan right here. So we'll just click here and we'll just make sure all of these are in fact 2 inches. Looks like Revit disconnected our piece of pipe right here, so let's go ahead and select that and tee it right into that one right here, and we'll hit escape. So that's looking good. So I have my 2-inch main right here, and then I have my piping going into this fitting. Now you can see these fittings, it was using the sanitary fittings. So if I click on this piece of pipe, you can see my routing was set to PVC, so I'm going to have to make sure that I change this piece of pipe. So I'm going to tab into that, and then I'll go ahead and tab into this piece right here, hold control, and I'll also select, and I'll make sure I just filter, and we'll just select the pipes, and we can just go ahead and change those to standard type pipes, and we'll have to do the same thing for our elbows. And let's just select all those pieces right there, and we'll just filter those and select pipe fittings only, and we'll make sure we use the right types of elbows, which are these standard generic ones. So that's looking much better, and let's go ahead and use a normal T for this. So we'll go to our standard generic T, and then that's looking much better. Now you can see that this piece of pipe is probably way too big. So let's use Revit to size this, and let's just try 1 inch and make sure our flow rate is making sense. So our velocity is 11 feet per second. So let's actually upsize that to 1.5 inches. And you can see that Revit has showing that we can actually use that. So we can even use probably 1.25 inches. So that's fine. Let's just use that for now. So this looks good. So that's making me happy. I've sized this system and I've modeled it. Now let's go ahead and model this sanitary system. So I'm going to go, and for this we can use all of our fixtures for our system. So I'm just going to select all of these right here. Make sure that only the fixtures are selected. So let's deselect pipes and pipe fittings right here. And let's go ahead and make another piping system. And this time it is going to be a sanitary system. So let's click that. And let's do generate layout again. And we can kind of check to make sure this is all working. So again, we just need to make sure that this is looking correct. So let's go ahead and orbit around. And let's just take a look at this right here. So you can see Revit is using the correct elevations for my water closets. But I don't think these are going to work right here. So we might have to do something different. So again, we might have to bring these lavatories up, or not lavatories, but urinals up a little bit before we do this. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to select these two, and I'm just going to use control, and we're just going to bring those up so that this works. So I'm going to bring it up to maybe 2.5 feet. Cancel. I brought it up too high. Let's try 2 feet, and let's try this generate layout again. So I'm gonna go ahead and tab into the sanitary system. So we're just gonna tab into this right here and make sure it's our sanitary system, and we're gonna use this generate layout again, and that's looking like it's going to work. So let's go ahead and we're actually gonna place a base this time. So I'm gonna place the base, and we're just gonna place it in this view right here, and we'll make sure that base is 4 inches, and let's make sure it's at -2 feet, and we're just gonna verify that this is working. So we have to go back to solutions because that's not what I want, and we'll just take a look at this. That's obviously not what I want, so let's just cycle through these a little bit, and that one looks like something I'm gonna want. So let's go ahead and finish this layout, and hopefully these pieces work. So that did look like it worked, and we can go ahead and downsize this to 2 inches. So let's just check this right here. Yep. So let's go ahead and just select all these pieces right here, and let's just make them 2 inches so everything looks good, and hit escape. So that's looking good right there. So let's turn on our thick lines again so you guys can see all this. And let's go ahead and plumb up these lavatories real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and place the lavatories, and I can use the PX command for plumbing fixture. And we're going to go ahead and type in lavatory, and we can use any one of these. Maybe I use this public. And I'm just going to go into this wall right here, and it's not letting us snap to the middle, so we're still going to have to use the align command and align it from here to here. Escape and use CC for copy, and we'll copy all of these just like that. Hit escape. So let's do the same thing. We'll just select all of our fixtures right here, and we'll create a piping system. And again, we'll use this sanitary system. And we'll zoom in on these guys right here. And I'm just going to generate a layout, and that's not really what we want. So let's go ahead and click on edit layout, and we're just going to select this piece, and we're just going to drag it out to about right there. And we'll just go to finish layout. So that looks good. So if I turn on my thin lines, you can see that Revit did draw this correctly for me. So I'm going to actually make my vent piece right here. So I'm just going to delete this fitting right here, and we're going to bring this piece to the same place as these other pieces. So just stretch that over and it'll snap just like that. And we'll right click on this point right here, and we'll draw a pipe, and we'll draw it up to about, I don't know, 8 feet, and just hit apply. And so now we have our piping up. So I'm going to use my lines like this, and we can go ahead and create a sanitary tee by clicking that button right there. We have to flip this fitting because it's drawing it incorrectly, so we're going to flip that guy, and that looks good. And so we can also draw our piping going down. So let's click this guy, draw a pipe, and let's just drop that to -2. And let's just go this way for now. Hit escape. Now I'm going to actually use a section box real quick. So I'm going to click on this section, and we can go from this point. Let's actually draw that again from this point, because I always start to draw it the wrong way. Let's just go into our section by right clicking, go to view, and now we're in our section view, so we can start to draw these pieces right here. So I can do this a couple ways, but I'm actually going to show you guys how to draw a special fitting. So we're going to delete this piece right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to system, pipe fitting, and I have this double wide double reducing that I've loaded from the library, so I can actually I like to place it in the 3D view so you can really visualize this thing. So we'll just put it about right here. We'll hit escape, and we can just click on the fitting right here, and we can go ahead and rotate this to something like that. So that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and click this fitting in this view. We'll go ahead and use our thick lines, and we can just click the fitting, click the little gripper thing, draw a pipe, and I'm just going to draw it at a 45-degree angle going that way. Hit escape, and we'll do the same thing. We can also do it from this pipe right here, so we can actually just drag this back, and you can see when we get to the point where it's going to snap into it and it's aligned perfectly, it'll snap for us, so we can just draw that pipe right into this fitting right here, and that connection will get made. We'll also use the trim TR, and we'll just trim this to this. So that looks great. So that's how you would add that special fitting right here. So I'm going to turn my thin lines off, and now we're just going to use this as a vent pipe. So I'm going to go ahead and select this pipe right here, and we're just going to change that to our vent system. And we just needed to make sure that the systems weren't connected so that we can easily change this vent. So then if we go to let's just click the thick lines real quick, and we can just select our vent piping right here, and we can just drag it into this T right here. So I'm going to do that. So actually did not do that right. So I'm going to actually delete this piece right here, and I'm just going to drag that. Let me turn my thin lines on. I'm just trying to show you guys this so you can see it. So let's just drag this down to here, and that looks good. We'll hit escape, and we'll make sure that everything is looking good. Looks pretty good. It looks all connected, and that looks great. So I can also select my fitting right here, and we can use the shift and our arrow keys, kind of bring that up to maybe to look a little better. So let's just hit cancel because it went too far, and that point looks about right. And we can bring this piece of pipe down, or maybe we bring this one up, and we'll right click into that, draw a pipe, and we're just going to draw it at a 45-degree angle this way, and we're just going to go ahead and disconnect our vent piping. And let's just, from the regular floor plan, we'll just go ahead and drop this into this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just hide this real quick. So hide element temporarily, and then we'll select this piece and we'll drop it into this piece right here and see what happens. And then we'll select this piece right here, this little elbow. We'll use our plus button to make that a T. Select our vent piping, and then we'll drag it into this one right here. So that was a little complicated, but you know, there's many ways to do things with Revit, and so that all worked out for us. So everything's looking good now, so we can do this, and on the floor plan it looks good. So let's go ahead and verify everything, and I do think that is looking good. If we wanted to, we can go back to our section view, and we can use the detail level of fine. We can kind of get these to look a little better. So maybe I want to bring this up a little bit. Just use my arrow keys, hit escape, and as you can see, we aren't aligned right here. So I'm going to use my align, and we're just going to align this to this, and that looks a little better. And then we'll just go ahead and select these pieces, and I'm going to hold shift and just my arrow key, and we're just going to bring them up a little bit, and that looks a little better. So that looks great. Even bring them down more, actually, something like this. So that looks good. We want to change these to P-traps, so we don't need to do that for this video. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and connect a water heater to these lavatories. So I'm just going to delete my section for now. We don't really need it anymore. And I'm just going to reset my temporary hide isolate. So let's go to systems and mechanical equipment, and I already have a water heater loaded in, and so let's just place that center right here. Escape out of that. Let's zoom in right here, and you can see that we have our outlet right here. We can start drawing some pipe. Let's go ahead and bring this pipe up to maybe 8'6", and we can just hold our shift button and draw it in 3D, maybe to a point like that. That looks good. And maybe we can also draw our water piping. I actually am going to rotate this because I want it to display a certain way. So I'm going to rotate this, and we can just rotate it about the midpoint right here. And we're just going to rotate it 180 degrees, just like that. I'm going to select my water heater again, and we're going to right click on this piece right here, and we're going to draw pipe. And again, I will make this 8'6", 8'6". And we're just going to go down into our wall right here, and we're going to make the drop at about this point, and we're going to drop it to 2 feet, and we're just going to hit all of our lavatories. Let me turn the thick lines on for you, and we'll just go into, or have to keep drawing this, go to our cold water connector right here, and we'll just connect into that. I'm going to hit escape. We're actually going to use connect into for this. Oh, it didn't drop my water line down, so I have to move this back. So let's move it to here. I'm going to select this piece, right click, draw pipe, and I'm going to drop it down to 2 feet. And now let's go to that point over here. For some reason it's not connecting, or it's not showing the connectors, so that's looking good. And let's go ahead and use our connect into from this lavatory. Connect into, select domestic cold water, and we'll just select this piece of pipe right here. So that worked. So let's do the same thing with this. Use connect into, domestic cold water, click a point right there, and we'll do it one more time. Click our lavatory, use connect into, cold water, select the piece right here, and that looks good. So let's just inspect that, make sure everything's looking correct. As you can see, we drew with the wrong pieces of pipe again, so we have to tab all of these. And we should probably make sure that we stop drawing things on the sanitary system, but I'm going to go to filter, and we're just going to deselect the pipe fittings. Make sure we change our pipe type to standard, and then we'll just go ahead and select these T's right here by holding control, and we'll change those to a sanitary or a T generic, and we'll do the same thing with our elbows. So we can just go ahead and tab into all of these pieces right here, and we're just going to select them. We'll hold shift and we'll deselect those pieces right there. And now we'll just go to filter and we'll just select pipe fittings. So only our sanitary elbows will appear, and we can make the change. Well, it looks like one more piece got selected. So we're gonna have to fix that. I think it's right here. So we'll just hold shift. Yes. And we did have another piece right there. So we'll go ahead and change those to standard elbows, and that should look a lot better. So we also have to do the same thing with our little increasers. So I'm going to do the same thing. We'll just actually click on each one of these right here by holding control. And this kind of stuff is going to happen to you guys, so it's kind of good that it's happening to me right here. So I'm just going to hold control, and we'll just change those increasers from a PVC type to a standard generic one. So I think we cleaned up all of our fittings for the most part. Hopefully we don't have any there, and that looks good. So let's make sure that our piping now for this hot water line is standard piping, so that when we use connect into, everything will look clean. So let's change this to standard. Looks good. And then we'll click this piece, right click, draw pipe, and we'll just hold shift right here and we'll draw it to a point to right there. We'll go to our floor plan, and I'm going to select this piece, turn on our thick lines for you guys, and we'll just bring this to about right here. We'll right click, draw a pipe, and we'll drop this piece down to maybe right here. And again, we'll go to 2 feet. We'll go to our last fixture right here, and we'll just go to a point right here, and we'll select our fixture again, and we'll use connect into, and we'll connect into this piece. We'll click our lavatory, use connect into, click this piece, select our lavatory one more time, use connect into, and select this piece right here. Let's verify what that looks like on the floor plan or the 3D view. We'll use our thin lines, and everything's looking great this time, so that worked out nice. Let's go ahead and size our piping for this, but I don't really need to size it because I know that I'm just going to run a 1/2 inch line to all of these. So I'm just going to tab all of my hot water piping, and we'll just change that to 1/2 inch. And we'll do the same thing for our cold water piping. We'll just tab all of those, and we'll just change it to 1/2 inch as well. And we're going to want to verify that the GPMs are correct and the velocities aren't too high. So I actually changed the GPMs of these. Standard out of the box, they're going to be using the fixture units. But for a small little system for just 3 lavatories, I want to actually use the GPM. And so I went ahead and changed that. So if you look at the edit type, it's still using fixture units right here, but I went into the family itself by going to edit family, and I made sure that these connectors were set to preset, and I made the preset at 0.5 GPM for both the connectors. So I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. So we're not gonna, so we would want to verify that these velocities are all correct, but we don't need to do that for this video. I'm gonna explain all this kind of stuff in more slow paced on my website, mepguy.com. But for here, I'm just kind of going over some quick modeling stuff for you guys. So let's go ahead and finish this piping off. So let's, select our elbow here, and we'll hit this plus button to continue drawing piping this way. We'll click this little T, and we'll right click, draw pipe, and we'll zoom out a little bit, hold shift, and we'll just start drawing our pipe this way. Now I want to make this piece right here 3/4 inch, so I'm gonna select it right here, and I'll probably want to make this 3/4 inch going into my water heater as well. So let's select that by using control, and let's make this 3/4 inch piece just like that. Now I'm gonna align these two together right here. So I'm gonna line it from this point to this point, and we can go ahead and just delete this fitting right here. I can actually use trim for straight pipe too, but that's actually not a good way to do it. So let's just trim these right here, and let's just move this one back to here, and we'll just zoom in, and let's use our thick lines, and I'm gonna click this piece right here. Maybe I'll just show you guys using fine level of detail, and we'll just click this piece, click the plus, click this piece, and we'll just connect these guys right here. So that worked out well. So we have all of this drawn, so everything's looking good so far. We have to finish off our vent piping, so let's do that. So let's start from this piece over here. So let's click on that piece. We'll just right click and we'll start drawing some pipe. I'm actually going to orbit a little bit while I'm in the pipe command. We're going to do that. And I'm just going to go 45-degree angle this time. So I'm just going to kind of go to my 45 point and click a point. Now we'll go back to our floor plan and we're just going to bring this all the way across here. So I'm going to click that and we're going to extend it. We're going to stay consistent with our 45-degree angle. And maybe go to a point about right there and we'll right click, draw a pipe, and we're just going to try to tee it down into this piece right here. So that looks like it worked perfectly. So let's go ahead and do this consistently for our other pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and just use copy, and I'm going to copy from this point. We're going to do multiple copies from this point to this point right here. And I'm just going to drag this piece on this side so we can show this a little better. And we're going to take this piece and we're going to show it on this side as well. And I can just move this piece right here and just tee it into that right there. So that looks good. And let's just zoom out so you guys can see how this works. Click on this piece and we're just going to tee it into this piece right here. So that's looking good. Let's go ahead and finish this off. So we'll start with this piece. We'll zoom out, zoom in here, and we'll right click on this, draw a pipe. And for this one, I'm going to do it about right here. And we only need one vent for that. Now, in a normal situation, we're going to probably want to use an actual a wall carrier. And the wall carrier is going to have a vent connection as well as a sanitary connection to make all these connections work. But I actually like just using piping for this because it's a little cleaner. But you can definitely use a wall carrier if you guys want to get fancy. So let's go ahead and click on this and we'll just hit the plus to make a T. And we want to make sure our sanitary pipe or our vent piping is actually sloping down. So I'm actually going to right click on this, create draw pipe, and we'll just draw it to this piece over here. So we'll click that. We'll use our trim extend. So we'll modify trim extend these pieces together right here. Let's go ahead and just delete this little elbow and we'll trim these guys together right here. And actually maybe we want to make this our main vent. So we would just go up through the roof just like that. And we probably want to tee that into there. So let's do that. So we can just split our pipe maybe. So let's just click a point. Let's just drag this guy in the 3D view over here. We'll hit escape. Select this piece. We'll use our trim extend command again. Click that to that. And we would want it to use that double. But for this, I'm going to cheat a little bit and we're just going to bring this piece up to 8'6". Let's try that again. Let's bring this to 8'6", and we'll just tee that into there, just like that. Now we'll make sure our vent piping is sloping back to our drain, so we can make sure it's going to the left with our tees. So it is. That's looking good. And everything's looking great. So guys, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I can go ahead and connect these sanitary lines if you want. So I'm just going to do it in a 3D view. So I'm going to drag this across down to here, something like that. And we're just going to right click. I'll actually full screen this for you guys. So we'll right click on this, draw a pipe, and we'll hold our shift button right here. And we're just going to draw it to about right there. We'll stay holding shift, and maybe our main on the street's going that way. And I'm just going to drop this piece down to this point right here. We'll just go from right there. I'm just going to right click on that piece, create similar, and go from here. I need to actually click on the grip. So click the piece of pipe. Make sure we get the grip this time. Now we're going to draw a pipe, and we're just going to hold our shift button to make the pipe just like that. And we'll make sure that we make this piece, which is at -2, I believe. Well, we got to change that to -2. My Revit's being really slow on me, guys. I'm sorry. So let's make that -2. Let's just use the drop down this time. All right, and these two should be at the same elevation now. Okay, so now we can use our trim extend. Pick that point, pick this point. Make sure our T is headed in the right direction, and let's make sure this piece right here gets upsized to 4 inches. So let's change the diameter to 4, and there you have it, guys. We have everything connected, and we can verify to make sure this sanitary system is working correctly. So let's check the fixture units. It's 3 because each of these is 1 fixture unit, and each of these is 4 fixture units, so this should be 20 fixture units total. Let's check that. Fixture units 20, and hopefully this is equal to 23. And as you can see, it's 23 fixture units. So not only are we drawing the pipe correct, but we're actually keeping our systems consistent. And that way we can utilize Revit's capabilities of adding up all the fixture units. It's going to also add up the flows for us, so we can do calculations very quickly. We can already see that it's 26 GPM, which is incorrect because I need to remember to change my piping system type to predominantly flush valves. Okay, so these are the types of things that you guys have to look out for when you're using Revit for design. And like I said, available on my website is going to be a lot slowed down version of this, where I'm going into more detail on how to make sure your systems are correct, and we're really focusing on each command as far as the routing preferences go, and as far as the automatic sizing, and also the automatic pipe routing. And I'm also going to be doing a course on using custom fixtures in Revit. So actually, let's finish this off by hiding the let's hide our MEP fixtures and only keep the architecture as fixtures. So what we can do is, if you go to visibility graphics, so VV, what we can do is we can hide the architect's fixture, or the MEP fixtures, but keep the architects. So let's go to plumbing fixtures, and we're just going to deselect that right there and hit apply. And you're going to see everything is going to disappear. But if I go into my Revit links and I click on by host view, I can customize this. And now I can go to model categories, and I can also customize this. Now if I go to plumbing fixtures, you're going to see they're deselected, but if I select them, hit apply, now my architecture plumbing fixtures are showing, but my MEP fixtures are not showing. And that's actually what I want to show when I'm displaying this in my model. So I'm going to click OK, click OK. Now what we would want to do is we want to make sure we set these elevations of our MEP fixtures correctly, so that way our water piping gets dropped down, and our water piping right here is at the correct elevation. So we can go ahead and do that real quick if we want, but maybe I'll just save that for another day. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. It was fun creating the course. Like I said, I do a more in-depth one on my website, mepguide.com. And you know, it's always fun making videos for you guys, but please let me know what kind of videos you want me to make in the future. So far I've had a lot of good comments about future videos, and I've ended up making them, and they've been really successful. So keep giving me ideas for videos, and I'll keep making these things for you guys. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Bye.